we're recording, and then I will go ahead and go. Does it tell you also when we go?
It says when you're recording, yeah.
Does it say when we're what do I want to
Live?
say? Live? Yeah.
I don't remember.
Okay. Timeline. Public. Alrighty, friends. As far as it looks on my side, we are live on Facebook. So, hello, good morning, happy Thursday. Um, I am Kelly, and we have Sharice and Laurene here, and we are really excited to have mentors on. But I'll say, always, Sharice, one of my favorite people to work with and have been yogaing with for a long time now. But now we're doing some other stuff too. We're talking with our mentor and we're doing all this different things. So I'm really happy that we are reconnecting and that we're here.
Yeah, same. And this is Laurene, and Laurene Hayden. She is my mentor, and actually a mentor to many. And Laurene is a Ayurvedic practitioner. She's a yoga teacher and a yoga therapist, which is so amazing and much needed in these days. But I mean, every day. And like I said, you're my mentor. And my favorite fun fact about you is that you used to sell art in a gallery. And I think that is just the coolest thing ever. But also perfect for our relationship.
That is super
Yes.
cool.
Yeah, it was a really wonderful part of my life for a long time, and in a lot of ways still is, but just professionally being able to work with artists. And the main thing for me in that profession was rather than seeing it as a sales job, it was really more about helping people connect and helping to complete the communication between artist and viewer, and really giving people permission to do what they really wanted to do anyway, which is buy the piece and take it home. So it was a really fun job, very gratifying.
Nice.
Well, I am really excited. It's cool to know how different friends and mentorship relationships kind of start, how it all begins. And so we were writing questions actually of like, how, do we kind of want to flow? And that was the first thing that I'm like, well, I want to know the love story. I want to know, how did you meet? What sparks the thing that was like, this is a really good friend. And then it deepens, where you're like, this is a teacher and this is someone I can lean on. And so I am definitely interested in hearing kind of more of how your connection has grown and deepened and what that feels like really for both of you, because I know we're talking a lot about like how it feels to us to be mentored by older, wiser, kind of know things and have experienced things more teachers. But it's also nice to know from your perspective, what it feels like to kind of mentor that yogi thing happening.
Yeah. Well, I can start with how we met. Um, Emily Stooks is a mutual friend of ours, and Kelly, you know Emily. She teaches at the studio that we started at, and is one of the most amazing humans I've ever met. And I love her so deeply, and she is one of my soul sisters, and she brings so much love and light to my life every day. And we were already kind of building on our friendship and mentorship and just our relationships in many ways. And at this time, Laurene was working on a project for yoga teachers specifically to help them and mentor them and such. And but kind of building a whole company and project out of that. And Emily was the one that said, you know what? I think you have things that Laurene is looking for, and vice versa. So I'm gonna put you two in contact, and that's where we started. What do you think, Laurene? What was your side of that?
Definitely right on, Charisse. I kind of in a nutshell, mutual friend, mutual need. And it really, that really flows into kind of my whole perspective on mentoring and what that relationship is really about. But when I was starting the Yoga Teacher Empowerment Program with our other lovely dear friend Veda Spidal, who's an awesome yogi here in the Phoenix area, we came to the place where we needed more support. We needed that creative support that Charisse could bring. And Emily was like, hey, here, I have this wonderful person that is exactly what you're looking for. And I really think that, she would love your program. She's really looking for some mentoring right now. And so it was just a perfect meeting.
Perfect fit. Yeah, that's really cool. And we didn't really say in the beginning that we are kind of all over, different places, and that you are in Phoenix still. Charisse, you have since moved. You're in Washington. And what does that feel like? Kind of, not only just we're in quarantine, so we're all doing this strange Zoom, or whatever kind of meet, but what is that like to cultivate the relationship now that you're not in the same city?
That's a really good question that I didn't even think of. But Laurene and I actually naturally took a little break, and it wasn't, her or I that needed like space or anything like that. It was just life. Life happens, and the moment came where we both were kind of like, you know what? Now is a good time to pause, and we're still friends. We're still mentor relationship, but we need to kind of step back from what we were doing. And so we took a little break, and I focused on some things, and Laurene focused on some things. And then just more recently, in the last, I don't know, Laurene, was it the last month or two, 3 months, that I reached back out to her and just said, hey, like, I have new questions, and if you're available to reconnect, I would love to. And she was there.
Yeah, totally. And this brings up a really good point. And Kelly, I'm not going to ignore your question. I want to come back to the about connecting virtually, but it really does define the mentoring relationship when you have something that's special and solid and that's working, which is that it's really part of the cycle of life. And it's not just like, oh, this is my mentor and this mentor knows stuff that I don't know and she's going to teach it to me or he's going to teach it to me. Yeah. It's really more about, supporting the person in life and in becoming. I mean, the yogis taught us, and in Ayurveda, the foundations are all about becoming the best version of ourselves that we can be and becoming who we came here to be. It's not even a version. It's like who we really are. It's in us. It is us. And things happen in life, often early on, from the beginning when we're little dependent beings that kind of get in the way of us shining. And so it's really helpful and I think necessary for everybody to have somebody who we might call a mentor who can see us at who we really are, can see that light, can see that beauty, can see our gifts even when we can't. And also someone though that can hold the space and invite the person to move through their journey and move through their process. And again, not just like, hey, here's what I think is, your problem or whatever, it's just not about that. It's really about seeing where a person is in their journey and being able to have a safe space, a platform where there's trust and mutual respect, where that person feels safe going into their subconscious, sometimes scary, often painful places. And we all have them, and they just block our light. And they're there for a reason, but the reason isn't to stuff them and hold them down as hard as we can, because when we do that, you can't just selectively stuff. If you're stuffing that stuff, you're stuffing your brilliance, you're stuffing your joy, and you're stuffing everything. So if we can gently bring it to the fore, work through it, learn from it, or push off of it, whatever that is for each individual, then we go on to the next place in our life where we then have a question. And that joins us back up with Charisse's story. And she's like, I have another question. I'm going to call Laurene. And this is, to me, just the mentor relationship in a nutshell. And years can go by, or you might have a period in your life where you want to talk to your mentor every week, or sometimes every day, depending on what you're going through. And every mentor should have a mentor. Yeah. So that we, so like we all need to do this stuff. Yeah. So in terms of doing this remotely, I have had the benefit and um, teachings of, through the energy work, through developing intuition, things like that, where sometimes it's even better to work remotely. And I've had the experience as a client of that, where at first I was like, no, I want to see you in person for you to do your energy work on me because that was so awesome. And she's like, I'm sorry, I'm moving. So um, anyway, I prefer it this way because then there's some physical things that get out of the way, then I can tune in more clearly to the more subtle aspects, the
Mm.
energy body, the mental body, the emotional body. And so it's really, hopefully your mentor is able to take a holistic approach where, looking for insight into all those things and seeing how they work with each other. So working remotely is perfectly fine. We all are connected to each other in the universal, unified field of consciousness. So this is just, it is great to have the video. I'm so appreciating this technology, challenging as it may be at moments of time, but it is really great to have that visual recognition, to have the feeling of being with our friend. And, but what I've learned, especially in the last couple of months, is that everything is great through video. I'm doing all of my all of my Vedic counseling and all of my yogi stuff now through video, and no problem at all. So
Hey,
yeah,
that to
we're
me,
all connected at the heart.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. That to me is really inspiring for multiple reasons. But I had a lot of constriction when this first started happening. Oh, Sissy's watching. Some friends are watching. So hello, thank you for coming on. Um, but I had some constriction around teaching online and doing these Zoom things, and even Sharice and I have talked before about creating the YouTube content. It was something that I really did want to do and also was very fearful, and only since kind of being forced into it have I really started to expand and explore. So it feels good to hear, this is working and this is a connection that you can find. And it has been really cool to reconnect with friends that do live in different places because now we have the time and we are realizing, whoa, we have the technology, and I didn't always know that, or we didn't know how to use it. So that feels really inspiring that you can still create. We're just having to adjust, some of what our ideas about connection are.
Yeah. So along that line, Kelly, I just also want to add in terms of the mentoring relationship is that, you know, the key word that you just said is connection. And when you have a mentor and you get into that rhythm where, it allows for learning to be interwoven into your life, you meet with your mentor, you go, you do, you get a question, you come back. And that's how people learn. We learn when we have a question. We don't learn when everyone's like, here's all the information, like, right? Like, oh, I can't handle it. It's too much. So at least for me and for, some people with more Vata tendencies, especially, it is really great to be able to say, I have a question and I know who can help me get to the answer. And so, in that, we may develop just this kind of a connection that's always present. We always feel connected to our mentor. We're doing something, and I know with my mentor, and I will be like, oh, I know what she would say, because I'll be like, oh, how do I handle this? What should I do? It's like, wait a second. And I'll think back to a session, I'll think back to a question I had before, or whatever it is, just in terms of the development of that relationship and knowing her and learning how she perceives me and being able to see myself through her eyes when I can't see myself clearly. And then I can say, oh, then we're connected. We're always connected. So,
Yeah, that feels. I really like that too. That what this connection that kind of grows and grows. Where you were just saying, I can know what you would have told me to do. I can know what my mentor would guide me to do once you get into that field. That you really, you kind of heart stream together. That
totally.
you're family. You become this family where it's just like, I know what my older sister would say, or I know what my best friend would say. Then you're also like, I know what my mentor would advise, in certain things. And if you don't know, you always know that's my family. I can call, I can lean on them.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I want to expand. And
Yeah.
that made me want to think about too. Um, So you said no, I'm like, wait, originally you were doing a program together that you were both kind of working on, and now, you said you're in different places. What is your primary yogi thing happening? You mentor a lot of yogis, or you're doing some Ayurvedic things. I'm really more curious, and I know a lot of my friends watching really don't know you, and so I'd love to know what's day to day.
Yeah. So, one of the things I really love to do the most in the whole wide world is mentor yoga teachers.
Yeah.
Yoga teachers are the foundation of the recovery of our planet, in my opinion. So, and it's not about, again, courses are wonderful, programs are wonderful, but it's really, that personalized learning. And why we created Yoga Teacher Empowerment Program was most yoga teachers who I had known up until that time want to go deeper, want to learn more, want to understand a more holistic perspective. Like, okay, I've got the poses, everyone's doing them, it's great, but I want more connection. I want to bring more to my people. That was the reason that drove me. It was like this drive that I created my first retreat when I did, before retreats were popular. It was part of my upbringing. I thought, I want to do a retreat because everyone comes to class, they want to get their poses on, they want to do their yoga and feel good and get stretched out. But I wanted to teach so much more, because there is so much more. Because yoga is really, again, about becoming who we are here to become. So that's that. And I have gone, really deeply into mentoring with yoga teachers. I love it. It's my favorite thing to do. Yes, we can talk about yoga poses. Yes, we can talk about life. We can talk about how you're feeling. We can do Ayurvedic interventions. It's everything. I would say if there's one word to characterize what I do, it's holistic. Um, I have been an Ayurvedic health practitioner for about 10 years. And one of the things that happened through my practice and seeing people for kind of physical ailments, which is how it started. And, 10 years ago, not very many people knew that word Ayurveda. So, they'd hear about it or get referred. And then
Friends watching, what is Ayurveda?
Yes.
Ayurveda, thank you, is Sanskrit word that means the science of life and longevity. It is the sister science of yoga. And it is, you could think of it as just kind of the health and wellness piece that yoga is part of. So yoga is one subset through my lens, that yoga is one giant subset of all the modalities that I can use in Ayurvedic healing. So as an Ayurvedic healer, I'm helping people with symptoms, physical stuff, like digestive issues, or, I've got this rash, or I don't know, whatever. Lots of, you could imagine. But so what I learned over the first, several years of my practice was that, we'd be exploring, and one of the main roles of the Ayurvedic health practitioner is to partner with their client to try to uncover the root cause of the problem. So yes, we can give some herbs, or we can give some, avoid this food or whatever to soothe the symptoms. But if you don't get to the root problem, it's, your symptoms are just going to keep coming back. So in terms of getting to the root of the problem, what I kept finding over and over again was that 85-90% of my clients had the root of the problem in the mental emotional body.
The subtle layers.
The subtle layers. And so it only, really served, at first I thought, oh, I'm just kind of doing what I want, because I've always been really geared toward psychology, took a lot of psychology courses and just very interested in that part of our humanity. But through Ayurveda, now delving deeply into Ayurvedic psychology has been just helped me get to the root of where most people's issues are today. And even though, they manifest physically, that's just our intelligent bodies trying to get our attention and say, hey, we need to make some changes. Something's not working. And that always goes. So the foundations of Ayurveda is diet and lifestyle. Those are the first things we look at. Those are the first things we aim to correct. So if you are interested in exploring Ayurveda, just know that one of the foundational pieces is that you'll probably have to make some changes. If there's something that's not working, probably gonna have to make some changes. So if you're not ready for that, maybe go to the doctor or something. I don't know. But
right? Maybe ask someone else.
yeah. So, so in terms of the totality of my practice, I still do private yoga therapy, one-on-one yoga lessons. Also, for anything that we can address, as all of you yogis know, for different physical rehabilitation. I am just rehabilitating my wrists that I broke 2 months ago. And yoga has been such a wonderful, the asana has been such a wonderful way for me to really move that forward. The physical therapists want to know what I'm doing, and I'm like, yoga. So, yeah, and I'm still doing Ayurvedic health consultations, but my practice is leaning heavily towards basically like mentoring people in life, using the tools of yoga and Ayurveda on and off the mat to evolve into who we came here to be. And really to be able to help people figure out what is it in your life that's blocked, or what is it that's not letting you find your light or get to what you want to do, or, help you develop a habit or change a behavior, or, and yes, it can involve herbs. It can involve lifestyle changes, which is kind of like a lot of, routine, establishing like a morning routine, sleeping routines, eating cycles, things like that. What you eat, all of those things that are part of Ayurveda that are so beautiful, such a gift to us, but also working deeper into the energy body, the mental body, and the emotional, and also the spiritual bodies. So it's really working with the 5 koshas, the whole being. And, it's everybody comes for a different reason, but I apply the foundations of yoga and Ayurveda to help people do their process.
Yes, that sounds, and I feel like this is a good time to say, because there are some friends that are watching, and people will, log on a little bit after sometimes too. All of the information for Laurene will be in our post as well. So if you're tuning on and you're like, oh, I am interested, I do maybe need something more or different, that you can reach out to me, you can reach out to Sharice, but there will be your email address and your Facebook info, and all of the good stuff will be in the post. So if you're watching and you're like, wait, who is this? How do I do this? Don't worry about it. You can always connect with Laurene so that you can, even a lot of friends are new to yoga or haven't done maybe any yoga. Maybe they're not sure at all, but that is no reason, I think, to not reach out to. I mean, if you're a beginner and you don't know what's next, even more reason to say, okay, friend, help me. I'm new, and it's very clear I don't know what to do next. And sometimes that's the best place to meet a mentor, is when you just know that you don't know.
Well, that's what I love about what you guys are doing with this, Yogis Off the Mat, because really the whole purpose of yoga is to help us understand how to be in life. And so this is just a beautiful, and oftentimes, like you're saying, if there's people listening and watching who maybe haven't done yoga before, it can go both ways. We can start doing life things that lead us to get more curious about yoga, and vice versa. We can be doing yoga and be like, hey, I want to go deeper and learn more about Ayurveda or something like that.
Yeah. I think that kind of speaks to the note that we talked about last week and this week, but, Laurene and our relationship was pretty straight down to business from day one. And we kind of both were like, we know what we need. We're answering the needs. Okay, here's how we do it, versus Kelly. And Kelly's story was more like free flowing, and it just kind of organically happened and stuff. But I think both have value and both are beautiful. And I just love pointing that out because to me, it just speaks to others that it can happen in any way, shape, or form, and that anyone can be your mentor. Just because Laurene specializes in this and it's like her calling in life, that doesn't mean that I don't have other mentors or people even that I call mentors, and vice versa for other people. So I would love to just encourage people to keep their eyes and ears open to who is in their life that speaks to them, that they feel connected to, who brings value and insight and love and light to their life, because I think those are people that are your mentors and can bring something to you? Because like I said, I have multiple people. Laurene, it's like, oh, well, Laurene's the best person that I know will have the information I'm looking for in this way. But then I have, you know, Emily, and I have all these other people that it's like, well, I feel like this question or moment calls for this person. So I would love to just encourage other people to keep an open mind when they're thinking about their own lives, their own relationships, and just analyzing their relationships and what they can bring.
I love that. It's funny how we don't really plan anything. You know, we have just a conversation. Sometimes there's questions, but we just, you know, kind of go after whatever comes up. And it always seems to circle back in that really what you said in the very beginning, Laurene, connection. Connection. Who is giving you some connection? And it can be this person and it can be this person. And then sometimes it's just a reminder of a person. You were saying, you know, sometimes you can hear your mentor when she's not even with you. That's just a reminder of that person that makes you feel deeply connected. And so that's a cool thing too, that, you know, you don't have to do yoga or no yoga or any of that to find connection with someone who you think is going to nourish something, and you will probably nourish something back for them. It's almost always
Absolutely.
this mutual feeling, even if you don't know it. You know, I feel like, yes, with my mentor, she offered so much, but for me, but when we got on the call, she was like, but you offered so much for me. You know, it is this mutual deal.
Yeah, it's definitely a synergistic relationship.
Yeah, and that actually was a question I had for you, Laurene. I wanted to ask you, what are the types of benefits that you get when you mentor people? What are the benefits of it for you?
Wow, that's a very exciting question. I think a lot of it just has to do with my life purpose. Why I'm here is to help other people. And so I get a great feeling when I can do that and support somebody on their journey. And also, I have to just admit that I thrive on connection. And, you know, part of that, again, just my temperament. And it's just a part of me that I love people. And I want to hang out with people, and I want to hear people's stories, and I want to, you know, and then there's that their little helping piece where it's like, hey, let me reflect this, and you know, we can solve that puzzle together. But definitely, it is a cycle. It's part of the cycle of life that we're all collaborating, and that we're all mentors and mentees, and that these are vital archetypal roles. You know, roles and relationships is that teachers, guides, coaches, mentors help us. You know, help us to evolve, and we need each other. And you know, courses are great, courses are lovely and super wonderful. It's just, you know, taking that next deeper piece, you know, when you're ready to really dig a little deeper, I think. But you know, collaborating in any form leads to creation. So, you know, I wouldn't say it's a provider consumer thing. It is a collaboration. It's you know, happens via dynamic conversation and interchange. So
Wonderful. I was looking for questions or see if there was anything we missed.
I feel like we have time for one more. I always want one more.
I have something that I do want to add from what Kelly was saying a little bit earlier about finding a mentor, and how Sharice was saying, you know, just, you know, look around, look at people in your life. Who are you attracted to? Who do you respect? Things like that. You can also ask people, you know, if they have someone they work with that's really helped them, almost like, you know, you might ask someone, hey, do you have a good therapist, right? Because all in all, you know, what I'm doing is holistic therapy. And it may or may not involve yoga. I have clients that we never do yoga poses. So, but in terms of, you know, looking at that relationship, there's a word that I came up with that's a new word for me. I didn't make it up. It's syntonic. And syntonic means that there's a high degree of emotional responsiveness to the environment. And so you want to look for that in a mentor. You want that person to be able to have a high degree of emotional responsiveness to you in your environment. And, but, you know, also to be able to keep it professional, and, you know, to play that role, to not make it about themselves. There's a couple of other characteristics that I'll mention that just came to mind when I was kind of thinking about, you know, what really does define that relationship. And I think that another thing to look for is someone who places the source of control with the mentee.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
you really are running the show. And if your mentor is trying to kind of, has their own agenda, maybe not a good fit.
That's a
So
good
the
point.
source of control should be with the mentee. You want to hand that control over. That you should hear questions like, what can I do for you? What do you want to do today? How can I help you? Where are you at? Stuff like that. In terms of vulnerability, being able to look for a mentor who's willing to be authentic, who's okay with letting things maybe get messy, and who can be comfortable with you in all of your messiness, because that's what we really need. Is we need to get in there, and we need, we can't do it alone. I do not believe we can do this work alone. That we have to do it, but we need help and we need support, and we definitely need to be witnessed in order to be validated in having done our work, having moved through, having been in a real place that was important for us to be in, even if it was painful. So that level of vulnerability is, I think, very important. Engagement, we've talked about a lot in terms of the conversation, the collaboration. And then, yeah, I think that's, again, just the mentor needs to be there to support the process of the mentee's growth at the time when the need comes up. So
It does remind me a lot of my relationships that I've had with therapists, and so it is really nice. And for me, in my experience, it's been different points in my life where I needed different things, like you're saying, what's supportive in that moment, right? And there's times where I needed to work through all that emotional stuff on the like psychological level. And then coming back full circle, the things that we mentioned prior in the conversation was what brought me to you wasn't me seeking therapy, but do we do things that are very actual therapeutic things now?
yeah,
Absolutely. And I do think now I kind of see in this moment, you turn out to be my therapist a lot of times. And how many times have we been on a call and I start crying and telling you something and I'm like, I don't even know why I'm talking about this. And
yeah,
I have moments of being embarrassed that I'm crying and embarrassed that I'm talking about something from my childhood. But then we both just honor the process and say, well, this is where we need to be right now. And it kind of, on my side, the vulnerable side, it sucks because I don't want to deal with it, but I do feel so grateful that Laurene is holding the space for me. And I will say that you have reflected back to me things like my therapist of like moments where I've said, "Oh, you planted the seed and it grew into this," and I'm so grateful for you for that knowledge. And you and my therapist and my other mentors have always been so humble and gracious to say, "I didn't do it. You did it. You did the work.
absolutely,
I was here. I was supporting you, but you did the work." And so I do think that is
absolutely.
such a important piece that you mentioned, and I am grateful to you and to everyone who has supported me in my life. Not to make it all about me, of course, but we all have these
I want to
different
hear more about
experiences,
you.
I'm just gonna, yeah, I'll take that moment to really, you know, say how great Laurene is.
Aw, thank you.
And we want to know too what friends are also feeling and thinking. So definitely,
Too.
comment about what you're feeling and how, what does that sound like to you to be vulnerable with someone that you feel like is so great. I mean, for me, to get to be the third party, I think you were mentioning last week when you were the person, Sharice, that was in this shoes, how fun it is to see someone really connected with a friend, with a mentor, with, and so as the backseat, it's really cool to see a real relationship. You can be mushy, you can be messy, you can be the real self comes out. And so maybe other friends want to share even later too after they think about it. How does that sound? Does that feel like it might be good? Does that feel like it might be scary? How does that feel to get vulnerable and grow
Yeah.
with another human or with many humans? We're all doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to pluck one little piece out that resonated with what Sharice was saying about, she's done a lot of work with the psychology of stuff, and it only sparked me because we share this in common, and I've noticed this with, therapists, psychologists, and things who are wonderful, helpful people. But because of the way the subconscious works and because of the way our systems are built, some people have a very strong bypass. And so we can work through everything perfectly mentally and be like, hey, I'm good. I graduate, and the person is like, good job. Go do life. But that was actually how I got connected with an energy worker that I referred to earlier that we who likes to connect virtually. Was my therapist was like, you've got this mentally, and I'm like, but I'm still upset. I still don't know how to feel. And she referred me for a deeper experience. And what I find often with my clients is we think if we have it mentally that we also have it emotionally. But another reason why yoga is so useful with all of this is because those things that are difficult, as Sharice is saying, I don't want to go there. I don't like it. It's difficult. It's painful. It's embarrassing. It's whatever it is. But it's there. It wants our attention. It's there for a really good reason. And it's there for us. And, to have a way and have a relationship that can help you, even if you've got it mentally, who can help you have the courage and the desire to go deeper. I think that is a real sparkling gift.
Yeah, because what I hear you're saying is psychology is very mental, but then those subtle bodies, it's like, what are we doing with them, and how do we access them? And it's just this huge, unknown, scary process on its own. So for me personally, I can definitely say that having a mentor that understands those subtle bodies and can help me work my way through them is huge. And sometimes that's one of those things where you don't know you need it until you're standing on the doorstep and you're kind of like, I guess I'm gonna knock, let's go in, let's see what happens.
Yes.
That is always that way for me. I'm always so surprised, I'm always like, how did I end up here? But, I'm never like, oh yeah, I was so ready. I packed a bag. I have my water. I'm always was like, what is going on? So I think really that is really what we're telling everybody is that we don't know what you know or don't know, and we don't care because we don't know either. But when we're doing it all together, it works. And when you have friends that are moving along the way, then it's helped. It's good. We don't have to be by ourselves. We're not, and like Laurene said, we're not supposed to be by ourselves. We're not, you need help. So I love that. We do usually ask that our guest closes for us if that doesn't put you out, if you may have something for us.
Well, I actually have a couple of things, so I'll have to choose one, I guess. I'll choose the experiential. So let's just do maybe about a 1 or 2 minute breath work experience. So however you are now, just take a moment to shift and feel yourself in your body, finding a comfortable seat, and hopefully as much as you can, feeling a presence in the body. And for most of us seated, we want an upright lifted spine. It's fine also if you want to lie down for this. So as your attention starts to come inward, your energy draws inward, and naturally we're brought to the breath. So just deepen your breath. Let yourself be in touch with that process of breathing in and out. And let your attention now come down to the base of your body. And whatever position you're in, just let your attention come to the root, the tailbone, the base of your pelvis, inside of the base of your body. And so this is the place where some of those old experiences may have left some debris. And we can do a little root chakra cleansing with our breath, imagining a little sphere in your pelvis And if you like the visual, you can use a color red. Picturing that red orb within you. We're going to use the breath to make that orb spin evenly. And so we even out the inhale and the exhale in terms of duration so that the length of the inhale matches approximately with the length of the exhale. And it's the push-pull of the breath that gives that gentle movement to the spinning orb. And maybe you can visual it becoming more well-rounded, more stable. Instead of a wobbly spinning orb, maybe your orb with breath becomes more fluid. It maintains its circular appearance. Maybe it grows a little larger. And it gives a sense of stability, maybe a slight motion of sweeping with some kind of a cleansing action happening for you. Maybe kind of just letting it come up however you see it or feel it. Just being with that for a moment. Feeling how you can directly affect the subtle body, your energy body, in this case, the Muladhara chakra. And then just creating a nice intention when you've got your orb all polished up and nicely spinning happily with ease, yet strong, firm, able to support you in your physical world. You can gently let yourself rise back up, maybe following the line of the spine as you follow the breath up. Inhaling all the way up tall through the crown of your head, and then as you exhale, feel free to open the mouth. Release maybe some debris that may have been cleaned up in that process. When you feel ready, gently letting the eyes flicker open if you had them closed. And coming back to join this beautiful Thursday in progress.
Yes, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I don't want to come back.
Well, the beauty is you can go there anytime you want. Now it's in your toolbox.
Yes.
And something that all this made me think of that I forgot to mention earlier is Laurene is offering a pranayama workshop, correct? Is that what you're calling it?
Yes.
Okay, and when is that?
So the pranayama workshop is starting in May. It'll be on the first Sunday of the month, and it will go through 2020. It's 8 classes. So it's essentially we'll be covering the 9-phase pranayama from Dr. Vasant Lad, who is the founder and brilliance behind the Ayurvedic Institute in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And this is something that is a very well-rounded, tridoshic, physically balancing, mentally, emotionally, holistic pranayama sequence and series. That is a very beautiful thing. And it's so healing on so many levels. And it's been a while since I've taught it, and I just feel called to offer it now because there's so much going on. And always the answer is to turn back to ourselves. And pranayama is the best way to balance our energies, our physiology, and, just like the quickest, most accessible, holistic tool that we have in our toolbox.
And
so it'll be the first.
Watching that is not in Ayurvedic or yoga worlds, pranayama is our breath work. So it is a healing breath workshop that, again, like Laurene said, is so accessible to all, whoever is feeling called to check that out.
Yeah, whoever wants to breathe more. We want to breathe.
Breathe more, and everybody is welcome.
Breathe more. So we will, and I know I said before, but we just always want for friends who are coming off and on, that all of Laurene's information will be in my post, and as we start sharing, it'll be in Sharice's post and post and post. So if you feel like I missed something and I want to connect, please just message any one of us or connect with the post to make sure that we can definitely sign you up, get you in the workshop, and that you can connect because the breath stuff, this is like such a nice, deeper piece that you don't really need any training to begin. You just have to, sign on and be like, yes, I'm going to check it out. So definitely, if you want to know anything about it, we can get you connected so that you can sign up and do that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you,
Okay.
Laurene.
Okay, I think we're doing it. Well, we love you guys very much. We'll be back next week, and we're really happy to have Laurene Hayden. And I'm very grateful too for your closing. So anybody who wants to just do the little meditation, come back, rewind and do the little meditation. It's so great. So
Thank you.
everyone. Yes.
Thanks, Kelly. Thanks, Therese.
Yeah, see you soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Alrighty, we are done streaming, and we are also done recording. So we're back to just us now.
Awesome.
Awesome.